Hello everyone, welcome to GoTarryn TV. I'm Taryn the Traveling Trainer here in the greater Atlanta area with GoTarryn Personal Training, and I'm excited because I've got not one but two amazing ladies returning to GoTarryn TV here in just a few moments. Before they come here, I'd like to ask everyone out there if you'd be so kind as to leave us a comment, share this video with all your friends and family, and don't forget to like the video as well. We would truly appreciate that. Now we have two amazing, awesome ladies back on GoTarryn TV. They're going to be here in just a few moments. We have Marla-Deen Brooks of Marla-Deen Fit and Melissa Anthony of What Just Happened Sports. And so they're going to be here, and we're going to talk some women in weights when we come back on GoTarryn TV. So remember, it's your time, it's your investment, it's your life. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, and on the phone right now we have two very special ladies on our Women in Weights topic today that I've brought them on here on GoTarryn TV, and they've both been on here previously, and I'm so excited to have them here again. And let me bring them on here alphabetically by last name just so we just stay in that order, and it'll make me keep an easier track on who I'm talking to. So even though you can't see them, we have Melissa Anthony from What Just Happened Sports on the line, and we also have Marla-Deen Brooks from Marla-Deen Fit on the line. And again, you have seen both those ladies on here on GoTarryn TV. So ladies, I unfortunately cannot see y'all, and you can't see me, but we're going to do this. And how are you both doing today?
Doing well,
great.
Thanks.
All right. Well, hey, thank you so much for taking my invitation. We're going to have some fun here today. I've invited you both on this topic because this is a lot of fun, and this is a controversial one because, I'm going to throw some interesting questions here that I know you both have heard, being in, fitness and health and the industry that we work in, and I just wanted to get your perceptions on it. And Melissa, before we recorded, you asked me to start with Marla-Deen, so I'm going to do that first, and so you ladies can introduce each other as you're answering this. So one of the perceptions that we get, and I know I see it as a personal trainer, when I work with a woman, the first thing she tells me is, I don't want to get big, I don't want to bulk up, and I don't want big muscles, I don't want to look like a man, I want to look toned and lean. So I guess, Marla-Deen, I'll start with you on that. Do you get that question, and if so, how do you approach that, just out of curiosity?
Of course we get that question because that's just one of those common myths out there that's been prevalent in the fitness world.
Yes.
In fact, my favorite genre to teach as far as a group fitness class is a strength class or a sculpt type class. I don't know. It's just my favorite format. Mm-hmm. And I think for women, it's so much more important than, your long form cardio. And you can get me started on that. I'll be on my soapbox. But I constantly tell my classes that there's no way you can bulk up because you don't have enough testosterone in your body.
There it is.
To turn into this big, bulky Hulk person. So it's just not it's not genetically possible.
Well, unless
so
they maybe get an injection of testosterone or some steroids, maybe then they might be able to, if that's their goal, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
All right, I love that. That's really good, Marla-Deen. You got right to the point on that, and I much agree with you. And I'm happy to hear that you get that as well, because I thought it was just me being a man. And Melissa, let's turn that question here a little bit differently in the realm of sports, because that's what you and again, as we get to know each other, I know this is your first time meeting each other, and that way you can kind of, let each other know, your personal work history with it. But dealing with women in the sports world, do you ever see that kind of intimidation when you meet the women and they're, doing something and they want to play a sport, but they feel like they just don't want to be intimidated for any reason? Does that happen?
Let's see. Occasionally, I do play tennis, and there are women who, are intimidated by certain sizes of women, certain heights and things like that. And, I would have to say if somebody came out who was pretty muscular, I may think twice before I hit a ball to her. I also work, I work a lot with some football teams, and they are they actually with female football teams, by the way, and they want to bulk up. So, so it's a kind of a different opinion on, wanting to bulk up and wanting to look a certain way, depending on what you're kind of into.
Good. Yeah. I like that. And, another thing, too, that you ladies may not be aware of, but everyone who's listening certainly is because they've seen you on here before, that you both have come out to Georgia State and guest lectured at my class on several different times for that fitness program management class. We had Marla-Deen Brooks come out, and we had Melissa Anthony with her partner, Sam Crenshaw, and both lectures were wonderful. I liked how you both talked about succeeding and just generally speaking how to be successful, and you have to have goals. And obviously in our world, that's what we talk about is how do you get to goals, and you have to have a plan and execute it. And so Marla-Deen, back to you here. Let me transition that question this way for you, because as you know, in our industry, and specifically you could relate to me, Marla-Deen, with personal training and group exercise, some women might get intimidated in going to a gym or a class or even signing up with a personal trainer. So back to that intimidation question, and I guess we're asking it a different way here. What best do you find when women come in and you just see that they got the deer in the headlights look and they're scared to death? And you see them at the Y, obviously. We do. And so what's your impression and your outtake, and how do you handle that best, Marla-Deen?
I think I've had some new people that I've seen just have such huge success because once they start, they get hooked. But I always just kind of tell people to start where they are.
Yep.
You don't have to start with the 10-pound weights. You don't have to start with the jump lunges.
Right.
And I always give modifications. There's always something you can do. And it doesn't matter if you're a 25-year-old or a 65-year-old. Mm-hmm. There's always something you can do. And my recent thing over the past year, or maybe a little longer, has been more to teach kind of what your goals are. Are they longevity? Mm-hmm. It's more than about getting into your skinny jeans. As we progress and get older, we want to be able to get up and down off the floor. We want to be able to lift and move and haul just for kind of, our life and for things we want to do in life. So, I try to preach looking at your workouts and coming into the weight room and the strength classes is a way to get functionally fit. And it can be starting with 3 pounds weights. It doesn't have to be intimidating.
Love it. And Melissa, kind of piggybacking from there, in the people that you work with and the teams and such, getting back to success, like both you and Marla-Deen respectively, and each of y'all's discussions when you came out to guest speak, these students that you met at Georgia State, they're getting in their hands or their feet wet and their hands in the trenches and trying to get into the real world. What would you best recommend in terms of how to succeed and some of the topics, some of the key points that you shared that you could share here on this podcast that you went over in your presentation?
I would probably tell the folks, first of all, to just really stay focused. Mm-hmm. Don't get off course. Just keep your focus. Really, it helps to write down your goals. Mm-hmm. It's been proven time after time after time that writing your goals means that you're about halfway there into achieving them. Think about your goals, review them, and do that daily. Write down, your 1-year plan, write down your daily goals, and just do whatever you have to do to stay on top of it. Contact other folks, do the things that you need to do to make sure that you're meeting your goals. Don't be too distracted by too much social media unless you need social media for your business. A lot of us get caught up and, don't really have a focus when we get up from day to day. So we just have to maintain our focus and, do the things and self-discipline, do the things that we make ourselves, which is all about exercise and what you guys are talking about now. Make yourself do the things that you don't want to do but have to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, very, very good point, Melissa. And, back to Marla-Deen for a minute here, because Marla-Deen, we both work mutually in Buckhead mostly, and of course, I'm over at the Y a little bit. And, I thought that was really great here. We could relate this in this way. We had a meeting, a staff meeting the other day, and, I don't know, I didn't count, but maybe some 30-some instructors in there. And so what I observed, and I didn't realize this, but I don't know if this is just a thing at the Y or this is a trend, but I would say for every male instructor in there must have been a dozen or maybe 15 women that outnumbered them. So I don't know the answer to this. I was just going to ask you, why is it that in most fitness centers we find that there's a much greater population of females who are instructors and trainers?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. And I've not even really thought of that. Well, I think you think about a personal trainer being more of a guy and a group fitness instructor being more of a girl.
I guess it's like a stigma, kind of, isn't it? Like a generalization.
Yeah, I think that's the stigma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting, yeah, because when I started there, of course, Lindsay, she had looked at me and she said, "Oh, this is great, you're a guy." And sometimes I get the impression when I send my resume out to people and they see the name Taryn, they initially are under the assumption that I'm a woman. So I think that that kind of helped my cause, and like, "Oh, yeah, that's great, you're a man," and they're going to love you. So I guess that, I don't know, maybe that's the reason why I got hired there recently, so that maybe helped my cause. So, and Melissa, yeah. Marla-Deen, go ahead. I cut you off.
I just wanted to piggyback on that. I was just teaching a class that is typically a female-oriented class, and I had a guy in there. And I think a lot of you guys, men, not you, but men in general, think they cannot get a good workout from a female.
That's a fair perception. Yes, I would agree with you.
This guy, got his butt kicked, and I'm gonna make sure, he's lifting heavier weights and he's doing what he needs to do to get his workout. But I think there is a misconception too on both ends. If I go to a male trainer, maybe he's not going to understand, the female body or how I need to work out, and vice versa. And I think that is a misconception. I think you miss out on kind of getting out of your comfort zone a little bit on both ends, for the trainer and for the client.
Very well said, Marla-Deen. I have observed that, and I totally agree with you as well. It's definitely comes down to knowledge, and I think the personality match, and you're right. But we do have a general bias, I guess. Sometimes we just have that. Perception of gender difference. And, certainly, Melissa, with what Marla-Deen just said, do you ever see with the women that are out there playing, do they ever feel kind of, I don't know if the word's disenfranchised or disgruntled, because maybe the perception is that people want to watch more men play sports, or maybe more men get paid higher money? What's your outtake on that? Have you ever run into those kind of misconceptions?
Oh, yeah. The women football players, oh, gosh. First of all, they are to be taken very seriously. They tackle. They're serious athletes.
Wow.
And, yeah. And they are having difficulty getting the recognition that they feel like they need and that they deserve, actually. They have to get sponsors for their team. There is a National Football League for women, and it has an official name, and it skips me right now. But, their players, they have to scrape to get sponsors to help, pay for their trips. They have, just like any sport, really, they're trying to get, and they say butts in seats. So they're trying to get folks to come out to the games. They have cheerleaders. So it's, they have really great games, really good plays. They're super athletic. And they are to be taken seriously. But yeah, it's, they're having difficulty, going through the wall, going through that glass ceiling, because folks, the general population, they don't know they're there. And they don't understand the power of their dollars when it comes to advertising and helping these teams out.
Yeah,
but they're on they're often televised, and they're so it's all kinds of cool things that are available, but folks just don't know about it.
Yeah, certainly. And, Marla-Deen, let me get back to you here for a minute, because also, kind of tail ending on what Melissa was just saying, I wanted to turn this around the other way and say this, because while she was saying that, I just remembered when I first started at the Y just last month, Lindsay wanted me to do take some classes, and one of them was going to be yours, and there was one day I think a substitute came, and I was fully ready to take it. I get there right before class starts, and I think there must have been about maybe 25 women in there and 0 guys, and I was like, I'm not about to walk in there and make an ass out of myself.
Oh,
so
dude,
I turned. See, I am guilty of it.
There's 3 guys that will come, but I will tell you, my husband always says, I'm not going to that do push-ups, you know?
But see, I've been in this business for close to 20 years, and there I am, even guilty of it myself. And it's not because I don't feel like, oh, they're not going to give me a workout. That had nothing to do with it. In my case, I was like, I'm not going to make a jerk out of myself. They're going to look at me and think I'm an idiot, I'm a klutz, and I had no business being in that room. So that's why I kind of turned around. Well, it's interesting though. I observed that, and so I think these are some really, really interesting observations. And again, I'm guilty of it myself. I'm serious. Like that totally happened.
Well, you sound
Taryn,
like there's a couple of other workouts like CrossFit. I'm scared to go try a CrossFit. Yeah. So, same here.
And can I add, just in general, for tennis, usually on the tennis court, women will take lessons. Men do not take lessons. They just don't want to do it. They already know how to play. They know all the techniques, quote unquote, and they don't need lessons. But the way that you learn how to move to a ball and create certain shots and think strategically. It requires lessons from coaches and advisement. The pros get lessons, but the average guy who plays Alta here in Georgia or USTA, no lessons. So, so go figure.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Well, I know the answer to that. It's pretty simple. I think women are just smarter than men, and that pretty much is what it comes down to.
Right.
Thank you, Taryn. Thank you.
Hey, I'm not afraid to admit it. I'm here, and I've been through enough, so I know how it goes. So that's really funny. That's cute. I guess let me go back to you, Melissa, for a minute here, because that was a good point. I'll say this, that I had your friend Sam Crenshaw on this show last time, and you just reminded me, we talked a little tennis, because obviously he was in fact about to go play some tennis, and he had mentioned what you just said, not exactly verbatim, but he had just said, don't let women fool you. He says, you go out on the court and you try to play against a woman, and most 9 times out of 10, he said, they're going to make you work hard. And he said, he was totally open and admitting about how women are more meticulous in the training and getting the skill down, whereas guys will just go out there. And again, I'll use myself for example. I like to be, quote, efficient. I won't go through reading stuff and learning tutorials. Rather, I'll just go in and, better to ask for forgiveness than permission. Yeah, I just go in there and do it. And if I make a klutz of myself, then I just deal with it then. But I don't know. Yeah, I guess there's something there.
Oh, yeah. I think for guys, when we play mixed doubles, guys pretty much just want to run down balls and hit the balls as hard as they can. Now, what is cool about Sam is he has some pretty good slices. He has some really good sneaky shots, which are, always good. But, women, we throw more in. We do some lobs. We do drop shots.
Yes.
We do different kinds of things. We mix it up. And so I think, those kinds of things just really make it more interesting. And they do throw a lot of guys off because guys, if they're hitting with guys all the time, they're just used to, balls that come with pace, so they don't have to create much pace. So, when you're playing against women, they have to create pace, and when they hit some of our balls, they go out, just, out of the bounds, and, just all kinds of crazy things can happen. So, yes, it's tricky. It's tricky when you're playing with women.
Very, very true. Yeah, absolutely. And, let me ask both you ladies this separately, because the other thing you have in common is, our topic, obviously, women in weights, and how important it is to stay active, be in fitness, and eat right, and exercise. And you both are proud mothers. And so, Marla-Deen, back to you first, please. If you would share with Melissa and everyone listening, first of all, a little bit about your children and how you've balanced being able to stay active and how important it is to, continue maintaining health and fitness and wellness while being a mom?
Yeah, I think that's, I have 3 sons, so it just kind of, it was a necessity.
Mm-hmm.
My boys were all athletes. I grew up, or they grew up on the baseball fields, and I had not, paid much attention to baseball as a young woman or teenager or anybody, and I had to learn all the baseball rules. But anyway, I have a 21-year-old, a 19-year-old, and a 16-year-old. Now, the 21-year-old and 19-year-old are both in college, but while they, they were always football players. One was always a wrestler, ended up winning state in wrestling. They were always baseball players. My oldest son was on a state championship football team. So athletics are huge in the Brooks family. Every weekend there was a sport. I love to cook, thank heavens, and I like to prepare healthy meals. But a lot of it was, making sure that they were fed well. They would come in for whatever practice it was, and the first question is, what's for dinner, Mom? I have it all kind of, and the nutrition's huge. I've got 2 of the sons are wrestlers, and that was huge too. My middle son was told he needed, in the spring before his senior year, that he needed to put on 20 pounds of muscle to be a linebacker. So that was his goal, to put on like 20 pounds of muscle.
Wow.
Through his workouts, and we did lots of shakes, and we did it in a healthy way. He, was 20 pounds heavier of all muscle, and he only had to lose a little bit of that to start the wrestling season. My youngest son's 16. He is a wrestler also and is a football player, and he's been working to get bigger, and now he's at 195, and he's only 16. But
wow.
He is all about what do I need to put in my protein shake? Mom, how much protein is this? How much protein do I need? And now I'm working with him, and he actually lets me help him stretch. And I had him on the floor the other night working with some hamstring stretches and some quad stretches. So I don't really try to push them or tell them what to eat or how to eat, because I don't want it to go to the other, spectrum. But if they ask me, I answer them, and I really try to encourage them to do it in a healthy way, and they've always been active, and that's just kind of part of our lifestyle, which is just golden. I love it, and I'm hoping these 2 college boys will come home this summer and kind of get more active than they have been during the school year.
Terrific! Wow, I love it.
Was that a really long-winded answer to?
Well, it was a loaded question. No, the question was fully loaded, and you answered everything, and you included some things I didn't even bring up that were very important, including stretching, flexibility, and protein intake. And so, excellent. And Melissa, same question. I'm sure a lot of what Marla-Deen just said you could relate to, and, in terms of your family and getting out there, playing tennis, how do you answer that pretty much in terms of, being a mom?
Yeah. It was important for us as well. I have 2 sons. One is now 24, one is 22, and then I have a daughter who's 17. So while my sons were in high school, they played, one played tennis, and then one played basketball, and both of them took tennis lessons throughout. My daughter did too, but then she soon stopped playing. We found out she was an artist instead. But we did keep everybody, they played basketball, throughout the years as well. So, we try, and just like Marla-Deen's, it's just, same thing. It's, what's for dinner? I still get that question with my daughter who's at home now. The cool thing about it is my son, he plays tennis with me now in mixed doubles in the summer, so that's a lot of fun. So we, tennis was nice because our entire family could get on the court and, swap around and hit some balls. So that was always a lot of fun for us. But yeah, we do try, now my daughter, who's the only one at home now, she and I go walking in the evening. And, it's actually pretty cool because it gives us a time for bonding. And, I'm getting ready to add some weights to those walks, some hand weights, just so we can, be working out, getting those arms ready for the summer. So, it's always been, a family thing. And I think my husband's probably the healthiest eater. He's pescatarian now. So, like you all, he does a lot of shakes and only eats fish from a protein, so from a meat standpoint. So, we think we're trying to stay on top of things.
Excellent. Wow, that is terrific. And, again, you both answered everything just so eloquently. I love what I heard in terms of, you both said it was a necessity. You mentioned how this is something that you're leading by example, and I can't commend you each enough. And I'm watching the time closely, ladies, but I'm going to ask you if it's okay. I know we're right at 2 o'clock. I know you got to go. I just wanted Susan Longley to say hi real quick because I think I'm going to try to bring her on. I'm trying to get her here. There she is. Do we have Susan on the line? Susan. Yep. Susan, welcome. We are just wrapping up with both Marla-Deen Brooks and Melissa Anthony, who you've met, obviously both. You know both of them. And ladies, can you welcome Susan Longley, please?
Well, hey Susan, how are you?
Hey Melissa, hey Marla.
Yeah, I'm actually getting ready to record next with Susan, and we have another hot topic, and we're just finishing up a fun one. Susan, I wanted you to be on here. It was women and weights, and we're just wrapping up, and I got to let these ladies go. And next time, I want you here on this one too, because Susan has a legitimate excuse. She was just now finishing and teaching class. Is that right, Susan?
Right.
Yeah. So. Next
awesome.
time we're going to have you on. So, Susan, if you could, hang tight here because I want to talk to you. And Melissa and Marla-Deen, this has been a lot of fun, obviously, as it always is. Before I let you ladies go, do you each have just a couple of minutes real quick to plug your contact information, your website, your social media, your phone number, anything you want to get out there, if that's okay?
Sure. Go ahead, Marla-Deen.
Oh, okay. I was going to say you go ahead. You can find me at marladeenfit.com, and the D is with 2 E's. I'm also on Instagram as Marla-Deen. I have a Facebook page at Marla-Deen Fit. So I would love to hear from anybody. That's where you can find me.
Excellent. Very good. And then Melissa Anthony, please.
Sure. So Melissa Anthony, my website is called What Just Happened Sports. We get women involved in understanding more about sports and professional sports, non-professional sports. We have events. We go out and we usually bring in athletes or former athletes or sports announcers like Sam to come and talk with folks about sports. And just to kind of bring women up to date and abreast on things that are going on. So we also have a website, we also have a Facebook page, What Just Happened Sports, and Twitter. And so, we're just glad to be here. If anybody ever needs to reach out, feel free, and they can email me at manthony@whatjusthappenedsports.com.
There you have it. Very good, ladies. Well, look, thank you so much for being on here, and we'll get that contact info on the screen as soon as we fade to black, and I really appreciate it, and again, can't thank you enough for being on here. That was a lot of fun, and that half hour just flew by so quickly. That was amazing how fast that went. So for Melissa Anthony, for Marla-Deen Brooks, and Marla-Deen Fit, and What Just Happened Sports, this is Taryn the Traveling Trainer saying thank you for watching. We will fade to black now, and we hope everyone has a great day. Ladies, enjoy the rest of your day out there.
Bye.
Thanks, Taryn.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.